Predicting the outcome of the US presidential election turned out to be not quite as easy as some thought. A few weeks ago, Lateline's David Lipson caught up with 4 expat Americans at an Aussie barbecue to see how they thought the result would pan out.
I do. I have faith that she will win. I'm not quite sure by what margin. I don't think it will be a landslide. But yeah, I do think that she will win.
Caldwell?
I think Trump by like 55, 45, somewhere where it'll be enough where people are like surprised.
Like, you reckon a Brexit result?
Because it's like Brexit. Like the morning of Brexit, everybody's like, "Oh, Brexit's gonna lose."
Win,
oh, and then 3 hours later, it's like, "Holy!" Like that's what I'm saying. Is people the media's not everybody that goes on that everybody listens to is gonna like, "Oh, Hillary's great and Hillary's great," but the word on the street, the man on the street, they're feeling this last 8 years. And they're not happy.
It could well be 55-45, but it's not Trump. I think it's pretty clear now that Hillary Clinton will win the election. It's a question of whether it will be a landslide. It's a question of whether the Senate shifts.
Hillary Clinton will win. Depending on by how much margin is based on if Donald can control himself.
Hold on. Jeez,
we're in for a bumpy ride.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, welcome back to you all. Cardwell, first, let's let you bask in the glow of being right for a moment. Why did people vote Trump?
Let's just be clear. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm a registered libertarian, so I was able to not follow the dogma of either party. So it's easier to see that what I said would happen. And like I previously mentioned, the man on the street, 8 years of Obama, they know that they were being lied to. And everything was a lot worse than things, that they put on TV.
Like the economy.
The economy, exactly. So Ohio, like I said in the tape, the people in Ohio, they're feeling that Rust Belt, Pennsylvania, all through there, they know the truth because they feel it every day with their health care bills, with their unemployment. So they were going to come out and make this about Obama's legacy, and it was a disaster.
Jim, you were the complete opposite. How are you feeling today?
Adlai Stevenson, when he lost to Dwight Eisenhower, quoted Abraham Lincoln as saying, it hurts too much to cry. It hurts too much to laugh, but I'm too big to cry. And
you look like you're welling up at the moment.
Well, I got to tell you, there's been a lot of tears. I've tried not to. And as I mentioned before, I think I've moved on in my stages of grief to anger. And so I think a lot of people have, and there's going to be a focus now on how we address this. A couple things, though. First of all, Cardwell predicted Donald Trump would win, and the man on the street was going to reject Hillary Clinton, and it was a referendum on Obama's legacy. Obama's at his highest approval ratings that he's been at since 2009. Hillary Clinton won more votes in America than Donald Trump did. So more Americans agreed with Hillary Clinton's view of what America was and where we were going than agreed with Donald Trump's view.
But it was which Americans, wasn't it, Carla? Yep. You mentioned Ohio. Caitlin, you're from Ohio.
I am.
Why did Ohio flip from Democrat to Republican?
Well, it's always been a swing state. So some years Republican, some years Democrat. So I think, though, if I can just look back at the months and weeks before the election, it's not incredibly surprising to me that Ohio went Republican. And I think that the biggest explanation for this is that it was the silent ones.
So what weren't they picking up on?
I think a lot of it, like Cardwell mentioned, was the economy. I think that Ohioans are affected by unemployment, and I think that was probably the biggest reason, and that's what I've heard.
Ohio was always going to be close, and I think we got to address the elephant in the room. We had an October surprise after we had our barbecue. We had the biggest of the October surprises. We did, but the one,
John Podesta leaks.
And the backbreaker was Comey's email to the Republican
chair. But they resolved the email scandal before the election.
If you look at the poll of the polls, she was up by 6 or 7 and moving up. After that, she dropped, and the poll of the polls were showing her at 1.7%, and that's well within the margin of error.
When you talk polls,
let's bring Ritu in here because we haven't had a chance to hear what Ritu has to say.
So I actually think in terms of the poll, so I'm also from a swing state that was really closely watched,
North
which was
Carolina,
North
yep.
Carolina. And I also think with the polls is, they said this happened in Brexit, is a lot of people supported Brexit, but they didn't want to say so publicly. I think the same thing happened with Trump. A lot of people supported Trump, and especially people kind of, I'm going to say in more educated circles, people like that I worked with at my financial services company. I don't think you wanted to publicly say you voted for Trump. But when push came to shove, you pulled the ballot and you pulled it for Trump.
Now, Ritu, at the barbecue, and I know you guys were talking a lot about how Donald Trump was going to lose, the Republicans would implode, but the reverse has happened. The Republicans have won the presidency, won Congress, both houses. Now, surely it's the Democrats who have to look hard and long at themselves.
I actually think, though, with the Republican Party still, there's still a very uneasy segment about Trump and some of his policies, the racist policies, the misogynist policies. And that's why you've got internally within the party people like President Bush who have come out and say, look, I don't support Trump. So they still have a lot of soul searching to do, because Trump is going to still be saying these very racist, misogynist things that establishment Republicans don't necessarily support.
It's even broader than that too. It's not just the racism and the misogyny. The positions, the few positions you can identify Donald Trump taking are at odds with positions that the Republican Party as a party has stood for. He's talking about tariffs and barriers and not free trade. He's talking about building a wall and eliminating immigration, when then in the 2012 postmortem they were talking about appealing to immigrants. He's talking about all sorts of he's talking about spending on all sorts of things and not explaining exactly where the money is going to come from, since he's cutting taxes. So that presumably means increased deficit spending, which is something that the Republicans have had as a battle, have been fighting and have used as a battle cry for the last 25 years. So Donald Trump is not part of the Republican Party as it was. Now, it's possible that the new party will be the Donald Trump party, but there's a big cadre of people who aren't going to be part of that party. That tension is not resolved by this election.
Carl, what you're saying is that we're seeing a big shift here from establishment to anti-establishment.
Yep. This is the election where we were able to see behind the curtain. We saw the wizard pulling the levers. Every day with the emails, we saw what Wasserman Schultz was saying, what they were all saying about Bernie, how they could stick the knife in, how we're going to get rid of this guy. If they would have ran Bernie, they would have won. They would have won. I said that. Bernie would have won, because it would have been, I don't want the crazy guy. Well, he's sane. And he would have won, and maybe Bernie could have acquiesced with his movement, but those voters got screwed over, and Hillary lost.
Let's just have a listen to Hillary from a grab from her concession speech where she spoke about gender issues, which have been a hot button issue. Let's take a look.
We have still not shattered that highest and hardest glass ceiling, but someday someone will, and hopefully sooner than we might think right now. And to all the little girls who are watching this, never doubt that you are valuable and powerful and deserving of every chance and opportunity in the world to pursue and achieve your own dreams.
Ritu, can I just put this to you? Will the women of the United States forget what Donald Trump has said about women?
Apparently they have, because he was voted in. And I think he's going to continue to say these things, and it depends on just how he says them as to whether it's actually going to stick.
And Caitlin, gender issues, do you think that was a big problem for Hillary Clinton, the fact that she was a woman, or was it something else?
I happen to agree with Ritu on this. It seems that the women have already forgot. The exit polls reflected that, and that to me was one of the most surprising factors in the outcome of this election. So I think that I didn't think that it was working against Hillary, but my beliefs have been shaken this election.
Real life got in the way of that. When you can't feed your kids, or you can't pay for this, or you're unemployed for forever, I don't care what
Donald Trump said 11 years ago?
Caldwell,
Jesus, what I did 11 years ago, I might be arrested. I don't know.
If you look at the statistics, the people who voted for Donald Trump, on average, are doing better economically than the people who didn't vote for him in the same regions.
So
it's
North Carolina would have been the other way.
No,
and,
listen.
all
So
these other
what
states
it
would have
is,
went
first
the
of
other
all, two
way.
things. One, there's an incredible double standard in terms of how Hillary Clinton was treated. All sorts of
People
things that she's
chose
being nailed for.
she's a criminal,
male
and
politician.
they saw that, they knew she was
she's not a
alive.
criminal, and you know it's really she's not a criminal.
Look, would you guys want to see Hillary Clinton locked up, Cardwell?
Absolutely. She's a criminal.
Donald Trump's not going to say another
Jim,
word.
I didn't spend 12 years in the U.S. government with a secret clearance, knowing that we can pull up all those codes, man, and they're all there. That's criminal.
I worked for the U.S. government. I'm a
Great.
lawyer. I had emails
Well,
crossing.
then you should know better.
I do. And when Comey, who sent the letter to Congress, said no reasonable prosecutor
It's
would.
not his job to say that.
Absolutely, not his job to say that. Not his job to send a letter 11 days before the election saying we're looking at more emails, and then 2 days before the election saying, oh, there's nothing more there. We go back to our original conclusions. The conclusions were
you were
Caldwell.
touching on. You think that made a game-changing difference for Hillary Clinton?
Yeah, absolutely. The timing of it it was.
And there was this drumbeat that
Unfair,
Caldwell
appalling.
repeats out there that she's a criminal, she's evil, and this came out from the FBI, from the director of the FBI, 11 days before, and people are there and they're on the fence making a decision, and this comes out and it just devastated her. You watched the polls go like that.
Well, why were the polls so wrong? They're sitting there going, why are the polls so wrong? Because you did the polls.
But if you look at the polls, and where they were and where they went to, and then you look at the final result. The final result will be Hillary Clinton will win by, let's say, half a percentage point. Or
It was like 90%,
so,
90%,
so
90%,
reminding you,
90%,
Hillary Clinton
90%.
won. No, but those aren't polls. 90% is not the percentage of her victory. Her victory was down there at about 2% or 3% or 2.5%. And so what we find out is off by 2%.
All right,
2%, I think,
how
is
about
defined by
it is
people
so
being
right?
ashamed.
How about we
I
park
think
jailing
it's more
Hillary
than
Clinton for 1
2%.
second?
Even more.
I want to throw to one last question to all of you, but first I want to hear from your new president-elect.
I pledge to every citizen of our land that I will be president for all Americans, and this is so important to me. For those who have chosen not to support me in the past, of which there were a few people, I'm reaching out to you for your guidance and your help so that we can work together and unify our great country.
So, can Donald Trump make America great again? Ritu?
Absolutely not. He was told, and he was reading off the teleprompter. He cannot control himself. The only way he can make America great again is if he steps out of the way and lets Mike Pence actually rule, which is the rumors that is what's going to happen. But if he's in charge, he won't be able to control himself.
Just quickly, guys, here, can Donald Trump make America great again?
Well, heavens no, and it doesn't have to be made great again. It already is great, but it's going to be. We're going to be in a boatload of trouble over the next 4 years. That's the most presidential Donald Trump has sounded in 16 months, right there.
Caitlin and Cardwell?
50-50.
Well,
Okay, we are out of time, but thank you so much for being on Lateline.
Great to be here.
Thanks.
thank you.
Thanks.